Live, local, now. This is WMBF News at 5.
The Carolina Squat, the sometimes infamous vehicle modification often seen here along the Grand Strand, but a new bill backed by local police could put a stop to that. Why authorities say that squat is dangerous.
Plus, a critical need for help in your area. Laura Harris explains how one new partnership is expected to make a big difference with blood supplies running low.
It is 5 o'clock. Good evening to you. I'm Eric Weisfeld.
Yes, and I'm Rachel Bogle. So after a very cold and wet end to the weekend, we're in for another chilly night ahead to start the new week.
Doesn't want to stop, does it? So we're going to start off tonight with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold has a closer look at the temperatures in your certified most accurate forecast. Jamie?
And yeah, things going to be chilly overnight tonight, but certainly not as cold as what we had to deal with out there last night. A lot less wind out there this afternoon with plenty of sunshine. And we actually managed to see those temperatures hitting 50 for most of us. Last night we had temperatures way down to the 20s. Tonight, a couple of degrees warmer. Still cold enough, though, for a pretty good frost tomorrow morning, especially west of the waterway. We'll drop down to 32 in Conway and Marion, 31 for Florence, Bennettsville, 30 in Lumberton. Mid-30s, though, for the beaches. But then notice what happens heading into tomorrow. Our winds finally turn around more towards the south, and that gives us a break from the recent chill with those afternoon temperatures climbing their way to a degree or two either side of 60. But then things start to go downhill in a very big way Thursday night through the start of the weekend, with chances of wintry weather continuing to increase in the Friday through Saturday time frame. We're talking about potentially quite a bit of freezing rain and sleet in our forecast. Going to have an hour-by-hour breakdown of that system heading into the weekend coming up.
And as you know, Jamie, with another week of winter weather ahead, the WMBF First Alert weather app is how you stay prepared. Just take out your phone, open the camera, and scan this QR code you see there on your screen. It's going to take you to download the weather app free right now. That way you can stay aware with up-to-the-minute radar and weather alerts right where you live. First at 5, Myrtle Beach police are backing a bill in the State House that aims to reduce Carolina squats on our roadways.
Yeah, so I was honestly today years old when I learned what this is, but for a lot of you, you've likely seen these modified trucks and SUVs along the Grand Strand. They're typically lifted so that the front end is higher than the back end.
That's right.
Yeah, so Myrtle Beach police tell WMBF News that the Carolina Squat, though, it presents some serious dangers to the community.
WMBF News reporter Jennifer Roberts spoke with police about this issue. And Jennifer, they recently took their concerns to lawmakers in Columbia. Tell us why.
And Eric and Rachel, I was actually today years old when I learned that myself, but behind me is Ocean Boulevard. This is where many tell me they are seeing those Carolina squats cruising along the Grand Strand. The Myrtle Beach Police Department tells me many of those vehicles just aren't safe enough because some of the modifications make it hard for drivers to see what's ahead of them. Master Corporal Tom Vest tells me the Myrtle Beach Police Department spent hours speaking to lawmakers at the State House last week. They voiced their support for Senate Bill 908, which would restrict how high a vehicle can be raised. If passed, the bill will prohibit a truck's front fender from being raised 4 or more inches above the height of the back rear fender. Vest says the department backs this proposal because from a law enforcement standpoint, the vehicles present huge safety concerns.
It's impact locations with the modifications and visibility. You know, at 20 feet out in front of a vehicle, we did some tests and you're losing up to 38 to 40 inches of visibility 20 feet in front of your car. And that's the difference between a small child being struck or you stopping before striking a child. We did have a collision involving a vehicle with significant modifications back in June of 2021 where a pedestrian was killed.
Versions of the Carolina Squat bill are currently being discussed in the committee before they can be voted on in the House or the full Senate. I also spoke with a resident who has a Carolina Squat vehicle with those modifications, and he tells me that he just cannot support a bill that will not allow him to modify his truck the way he wants to. Live in Myrtle Beach, I'm Jennifer Roberts, WMBF News.
A record number of guns seized at South Carolina airports. The Transportation Security Administration says it saw a sharp increase this past year. 72 guns were found at TSA checkpoints across the state. That is almost double from the 41 discovered in 2020. Myrtle Beach International Airport saw 13 guns seized last year. That's the most in 4 years. Charleston International Airport led the state with 30 seizures. For a full breakdown of those numbers released by the TSA with comparisons to years prior, you can head to our website, WMBFnews.com. Select this story from the homepage.
A shooting in a Florence County neighborhood took the life of 14-year-old high school student Khalil Ross. Now his family and community are calling for change. WMBF News reporter Natasha Lagur spoke with the family on how they want gun violence in the neighborhood to end.
Enough is enough. Parents in Doherty Circle are saying that they hear gunshots every night, and now they're asking leaders to put a stop to it. Harry Charles lost his 14-year-old stepson Khalil Ross to a shooting sometime during the night. Charles found him unresponsive in his room yesterday morning, and investigators found a bullet hole through Ross's window. And this is the second time the family has lost a loved one to gun violence. For years, Charles has demanded that county leaders add more light poles to the neighborhood to try and deter crime in the community, so that another family doesn't have to go through the loss of a loved one.
Feels like a dream. You know, it don't seem real right now, and it just seems like I'm just floating through. And, you know, I'm just being strong for my wife and her children and my children because, you know, I trust God for the strength. And I'm hurt. You know, I cried. I go by myself and I cry because he lived in the home with me. I get to see him every day. And now I can't see him.
Ross was a high school student in Wilson High School, and Florence District 1 sent out a statement asking everyone their condolences to the family. In Florence, I'm Natasha Lagur, WMBF News.
A man's no longer facing charges for a dog attack that left a child dead. Marion County Sheriff's Office says 7-year-old Shamar Jackson was walking along Clio Road with his brother last summer when he was attacked and killed. Now records show a judge has dismissed involuntary manslaughter and owning a dangerous animal charges against Lorenzo Cardenas. Both of those counts were brought against Cardenas following the June 13th incident. 6 dogs were then seized from his property during a search. Not yet known why exactly those charges have been dismissed. We have reached out to officials for more information. We'll be sure to keep you updated.
Emergency crews were called to a restaurant fire at Broadway at the beach earlier today. The Myrtle Beach Fire Department says the blaze broke out this morning on the roof of Melt, located along Celebrity Square, and that fire was under control by about 11:30 a.m. However, no word yet on what started the flames, but we do know nobody was injured. Meanwhile, blood supplies are running low, hitting a critical need across our country and our community.
At Tidelands Health, blood is crucial to provide patients with the care they need. Our WMBF News reporter Laura Harris learns how a new partnership will help maintain the hospital's blood supply.
A critical blood shortage is hitting our community as demand from the pandemic continues to grow. Tidelands Health is partnering with the Blood Connection to make sure it has the supplies it needs, while still maintaining a partnership with the American Red Cross.
Nobody wants us to cancel their surgery or cancel their procedure. We had a lot of that at early part of the pandemic, where a lot of things were deferred. We really don't want people to defer their health care.
Gail Resitar is the Chief Operating Officer at Tidelands Health. She says maintaining an adequate blood supply is crucial to the entire healthcare system. Without blood, certain surgeries and procedures can't happen. Tidelands Health is doing what it can to make sure it has enough access to blood. Part of that is with its existing partnership with the American Red Cross and donors like the ones who came out today in Myrtle Beach.
Especially now when there's such a shortage and there's illnesses and people, needing your blood for, whatever transfusions or surgeries or anything like that, it's really important to be there for them.
I've had several surgeries in my life, and everybody always just takes it for granted that the blood will be there, but it's not there if somebody doesn't give it, so I'm giving back.
All of these donations help hospitals like Tidelands Health. Sheila George is a supervisor with the American Red Cross. She says donations for all blood types are needed to help accident victims, cancer patients, surgical needs, blood transfusions, and more.
So with each donation, we're told that we save 3 lives. So to know that that's what we're doing here today, each person comes out, saves 3 lives. So imagine how many lives are being saved per day with just one donation.
there's still a critical need for blood donations within our community. If you want to save a life, I'll share information on where to donate and how to donate in my story on WMBFnews.com. In Myrtle Beach, Laura Harris, WMBF News.
South Carolina health officials say there are almost 12,000 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 across our state tonight. That brings the total number of cases since the pandemic began in our state to more than 968,000. Now, of the new cases reported this afternoon, the Department for Health and Environmental Control says 446 are here in Horry County. There are also 316 cases in Florence County and 107 in Darlington County. Of the more than 48,000 test results recorded today, nearly 33% were positive.
Our certified most accurate weather team is continuing to bring you the first alert to the weather across our area later this week. We have meteorologist Jamie Arnold back with his full forecast in just 3 minutes. You're watching WMBF News at 5.
Breaking news just into our newsroom. A man wanted for a Maryland murder is now in a PD jail. Marion County Sheriff's Office arrested Brian Austin in Nichols. Deputies say someone called 911 around 11 o'clock this morning, told the dispatcher there was a man acting strangely at the convenience store. The caller gave information on the car, which alerted deputies that the man inside could be dangerous. Deputies say don't discount your gut if you notice something. Austin is waiting to be extradited to Maryland.
Now, the certified most accurate forecast from First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
All right, the golden hour underway here this evening as we get set to set the sun. Another moonlit sky on the way overnight tonight, but not quite as cold tonight into tomorrow morning as it was this morning when most of us were into the 20s. Notice we'll start the day at 36 in Myrtle Beach, 33 Carolina Forest, down to the freezing mark for Conway and Florence, and 31 for Darlington. Another round of frost, especially just inland from the beaches. Despite that chilly start tomorrow morning, though, it turns into a really comfortable afternoon with plenty of sunshine and temperatures climbing their way towards 60 and even a degree or two warmer looking likely now as we head into Thursday. 61 degrees with thickening clouds and the chance for a shower as we head into Thursday afternoon and evening. And then the forecast just gets crazy heading into the day on Friday. 35 for a high temperature. That's probably in the morning with temperatures falling through the day and increasing chances for freezing rain developing as we are watching increasing chances now for a winter storm across the Carolinas Friday night into the first part of the day on Saturday. Yesterday, I gave you these 4 different scenarios of the possibilities we could be looking at. Well, we've got enough data today that we can now get rid of the bottom 2 scenarios and kind of take a blend of the top 2. That gives us those increasing chances for wintry weather. So at this point, based on all of the newest data coming in today, the most likely scenario is for rain changing to freezing rain and possibly sleet as we head through the day on Friday. Significant accumulations of ice are possible, but still way too early to start putting any exact numbers on that forecast. Still, though, little, if any, snow in our local forecast, and then things will finally start to come to an end as we work our way into the day on Saturday. So I want to time you through it here. Starting off Thursday morning, 7 a.m., it's quiet. Thursday is a mild day, but notice the showers creeping in here as we head towards Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening. As the sun goes down, the cold air starts to move in so that by 7 a.m. Friday morning, most inland areas are dropping below freezing, and with lingering rainfall, that means we start to turn over to freezing rain. Here across the beaches, while we may start off Friday with just plain rain, as that cold air continues to push its way to the south, notice by Friday afternoon, virtually the entire area is looking at freezing rain and possibly sleet. That continues Friday night before finally starting to wind down as we work our way through the day on Saturday. So the way the forecast looks right now, 35 but falling through the day on Friday with freezing rain, potentially all the way down to the 20s with freezing rain and sleet heading into Friday night, and then gradually improving on Saturday, getting above freezing, but still likely staying cloudy and cold. So it is still a complicated forecast. We're taking baby steps to kind of figuring out exactly how this is going to play out. Hopefully tomorrow we'll take another big step, and then I think by Thursday we'll be able to start adding some numbers to the ice accumulation potential that we're looking at.
Talk about, though, going from a hero to a zero in just one day, from Thursday to Friday. What a completely different picture.
60 and to 35 in an ice storm. Let's do it. That's how we do it. That's how we roll around here.
Right. I'll be out preparing all day Thursday. Yeah. One thing I can say there is a 100% chance of is me in a Snuggie at home all through the weekend, right?
Sounds perfect.
Warming right up. And this next story actually will probably warm your heart quite a bit. So dozens of local heroes are going to be rewarded for their service to the community as a new Chick-fil-A opens in the Grand Strand. Officials say in place of the traditional First 100 celebration, 100 local heroes will instead be surprised with free Chick-fil-A for a year. That is a lot of nuggets. And that's because the company has partnered with Feeding America to make a $25,000 donation to a local food bank in honor of the new restaurant. The grand opening is set for this Thursday, located at US Highway 17 and Highway 22, right near the Myrtle Beach Mall.
With winter weather impacting much of the country, one high school team turning heads as players put down the weights, pick up those shovels instead. This is WMBF News at 5. Cam Newton made his return to the Carolina Panthers this season, where he started a handful of games, but his impact on the Carolinas extends further than just football. That's part of the reason United States Representative Alma Adams has nominated Newton for the highest honor given by both governors in South and North Carolina. This past weekend, Adams was nominated. He nominated Newton for the Order of the Palmetto and the Order of the Longleaf Pine. In a letter written to South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Representative Adams asked for the awards to be conferred to Newton for being a philanthropic leader in his community. Since being drafted by the Panthers in 2011, Newton's given more than $5 million to help support schools in the Carolinas. His charity work even led to him being named the NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2019. To read the letter for Representative Adams in its entirety, just find this story on the homepage of our website, WMBFnews.com.
Let's just keep it on a positive note, because it might be cold and wintry feeling out there, but this story at least will warm your heart.
That's better than nothing, right? A group of high school football players shoveling snow for their neighbors up north. Marcy Cipriani went to speak with them about that effort.
These Bethel Park football players typically meet in the workout room at 9 a.m. when school is closed. But their coach tells me on days like this, they take their workout to the neighborhood.
This is thick.
For Braden Del Duca,
it's just nice getting out here, helping out the community.
Colton Pfeiffer and all of their teammates, this is today's practice. Their head football coach tweeted it, telling the players that their weightlifting workout has been canceled. Instead, they were to find an elderly or disabled neighbor and shovel their driveway. He wrote, "Don't accept any money. That's our Monday workout." And they quickly did, as Coach Brian DeLallo said. He tells me first thing this morning, his players were texting photos of each other clearing driveways, one after another.
It's great to see the kids buy in and get out there, and they'll shovel all morning, and then hopefully they'll go sled riding in the afternoon and get to be kids.
We'd love to do it for everybody that we can.
Del Duca, a guard and tackle on the team, says this is their chance to thank the community for their support, something he and Pfeiffer, a wide receiver and safety, did together. And they say they realized just how much this workout change was helping everyone when they knocked on this homeowner's door.
She was excited. She asked how much it was. We said it was free of cost. She was all excited and thankful for it. It was just nice to see that.
And that homeowner told the players she will pay it back by donating to the school's football program, adding to their lesson.
It's about community. We talk about it in our program all the time. So this is another chance we have to go out and interact with our community in a positive way and show them that they're important to us.
The players and their coach tell me this is a workout they actually enjoy. And while they know many other programs are doing the same thing, they're hoping those who aren't will now.
Again, that was Marcy Cipriani with that story out of Pittsburgh. Love that.
All right, let's talk about that forecast again. Let's take you through the next 7 days, because there is a whole lot to talk about. Starting off with quiet weather and fairly mild weather. Wednesday into Thursday, we're into the upper 50s to low 60s. However, late in the day Thursday, Powerful cold front moves through. That brings us a couple of showers. More importantly, though, it brings much colder temperatures. 35 Friday, but that's likely early in the day with temperatures falling below freezing, and we'll likely see fairly widespread freezing rain potentially developing Friday into early Saturday morning.
Ahead for you at 5:30, see how millions of federal dollars are going to be used to repair South Carolina bridges. Mary Green reports live from the state capitol on just how officials are putting that money to use.
Plus, one woman is going viral for taking a selfie while her car sinks into a frozen pond. This is crazy. Hear why she says she'd do it again when you stay with us for WMBF News at 5:30.
Live, local, now. This is WMBF News at 5:30.
Hundreds of millions of dollars on the way to repair South Carolina bridges. And state leaders say they already know exactly how that money is going to be spent. Mary Green reports live from Columbia.
The battle over federal voting rights rages on in our nation's capital. A closer look at two bills brought to the Senate floor this week and why opponents are unified against the legislation.
Hey, you're watching WMBF News at 5:30. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rachel Vogel.
Good evening to you. I'm Eric Weisfeld. Those stories are straight ahead right now, though. First Alert Weather Team, man, are they busy.
Ooh, I
getting
know.
you ready for
I wore my pink trying to combat what's happening with Mother Nature. I'm like, dress bright like
Right.
it's summer and maybe Mother Nature will follow suit, but she won't.
Because we keep telling you that you're the one brought this
I know.
horrible weather.
They're blaming me, but hey, at least we do have Jamie Arnold here to start us off tonight with a closer look at the temps.
And stick up for it, Jamie.
Rachel, pink is the color of ice on my maps.
That's why.
It's been fun.
Don't wear the pink dress anymore. All right, beautiful pink color of the sunset out there this evening as we take a live look over the Grand Strand. Temperatures right now sitting into the 40s to near 50. And then as we head through the night tonight, yes, it's going to be chilly, but just kind of seasonably chilly, although not as cold as it was last night when virtually all of us were into the 20s. Notice we start off our Wednesday in the Grand Strand with temperatures in the low to mid 30s, a little bit of patchy frost, especially just a mile or two inland. But then notice tomorrow afternoon. How about sunshine? Temperatures flirting with 60 to end the day tomorrow. And then as we take you into the PD, we're also chilly tomorrow morning. Temperatures just below freezing. But even here, we also climb to 60 for tomorrow afternoon, along with plenty of sunshine. Hard to believe after 60-degree weather for Wednesday into Thursday, we're talking about an increasing chance of a winter storm arriving here for Friday into the start of the weekend. Those chances of wintry weather continue to increase for Friday into the day on Saturday. We're talking about mainly freezing rain and sleet. I'll be breaking down all of this for you coming up in my certified most accurate forecast.
South Carolina is getting a big boost for bridges. More than $275 million will go to the Palmetto State during the next 5 years. This is for bridge repairs. It's part of the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law. State House reporter Mary Green joins us now from outside the South Carolina Department of Transportation in Columbia. And Mary, SCDOT told you it already knows how this money will be used.
Yes, Eric, a few years ago, the department started its 10-year plan to improve the state's overall infrastructure. SCDOT's deputy secretary told me today that this money from the federal government will go toward those projects they've already identified as part of that plan, and in some cases, they've already started.
We will be using that within our existing program and with the goal of basically being able to tackle more projects as a result out of it.
According to the Federal Highway Administration, South Carolina currently has 745 structurally deficient bridges, 22nd most in the country. These make up about 8% of all the state's bridges, the 20th highest percentage in the U.S. Structurally deficient means a bridge is in poor condition in at least one key structural element. But the SCDOT says this doesn't necessarily mean the bridge is unsafe. Of the top 10 most highly traveled structurally deficient bridges in the state, Horry, Richland, and Charleston County each have one. Most of them are in the upstate, with 2 in Spartanburg County and 5 in Greenville County. SCDOT says its priority for bridge improvements is to reduce the number of load-posted bridges like this one, which have weight limits.
Each bridge project is different and unique in terms of what's needed to get the load posting off. It could be a relatively simple repair, and that could be done in short order. If it's a replacement of a large bridge, that can take a number of years to get done.
SCDOT inspects all of the more than 8,000 bridges across the state every 2 years. Powell says they use the data from these inspections to determine the priority for bridge repairs and in what order. Reporting live in Columbia, Mary Breen, WMBF News.
Thanks, Mary. Meanwhile, here at home, reduced speed limits and a number of closed exit ramps will be impacting drivers in Dillon County. SCDOT says crews will be removing equipment needed for repairs from under the Great Petey River Bridge tonight. Because of that, multiple pacing operations will be put in place on Interstate 95 between mile markers 175 and 198 starting at 9. So that means speeds in southbound lanes are going to be reduced about 20 miles per hour, while exits 193, 190, and 181 will be closed to all traffic. And these pacing operations are going to last about an hour and be repeated multiple times throughout the night. So all of you passing by are asking to use caution and expect added traffic. So definitely factor in that extra time.
And on Capitol Hill, the debate over voting rights is underway. Democrats have brought 2 bills to the Senate floor, which would impose national standards on the country's elections. But those bills are expected to hit a dead end later this week, with all Senate Republicans unified in opposition. NBC's Chris Pallone reports.
And our democracy is not safe.
Debate underway in the Senate on 2 voting rights bills, key priorities in President Biden's agenda.
If we don't protect the right to vote, we won't have a democracy. It's that simple. That's the reality.
The bills are a response to laws passed in 19 states after the 2020 election, which opponents say make it harder to vote, especially for minorities.
We need a call to consciousness that this is not about partisan power.
A bill named for Congressman John Lewis would require certain cities and states to get approval before changing their voting laws, while the Freedom to Vote Act would set a minimum number of days states would offer early voting and would allow voting by mail for any reason, among other things. But it's a one-sided debate, with all Senate Republicans united against passing the reforms.
This is about one party wanting the power to unilaterally rewrite the rule book of American elections.
Democrats could pass the bills with a simple majority if they all agreed to change the Senate rules.
50 Democrats, all 50, have agreed to the voting rights protection bill. We're just hung on this procedure that effectively gives Mitch McConnell a veto.
While the effort appears doomed to fail,
the public is entitled to know where each senator stands on an issue as sacrosanct as defending our democracy.
Democrats are pressing on. Chris Pallone, NBC News, Washington.
The city of Myrtle Beach is installing 4 emergency phones throughout the downtown area, and it's all in partnership with the United Way of Horry County. The phones allow anyone to call 2 numbers at any time: 911 for emergency services and 211 for information services. The United Way's resource helpline is on the other end of the 211 number and is available 365 days a year. 2 phones are already up and operating, one at 2nd Avenue North Pier and the other at Plyer Park, but no word yet on where the other 2 are going to be installed.
Still to come at 5:30, relief efforts are underway following the largest underwater volcanic eruption in more than 3 decades. How Americans are helping to pitch in. That's just 3 minutes away. Many of us have had to get creative during the pandemic for our minds, for our sanity. Some have picked up new hobbies, and one that's exploded in popularity is knitting.
Who knew? So it's a hobby that some tend to associate with grandmothers, but there's a growing group of men actually up north who love to knit. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shares this story.
And so we were literally turning it inside out, trying to figure out where they had sewn the line, sewn the sleeves in. And then both of us, it's acrylic.
It's acrylic.
They all have their projects.
Zach Anderson, I am making the Melting Marl Shawl by Stephen West.
Knitting a little simple fisherman hat.
And they all have their reasons.
For me, it's a creative outlet.
Great social outlet. I mean, you're coming to a like community of people who are all excited about what they're working on and what they're doing.
I love all the color that I get to play with and the amount of individuality I can put into my projects.
And like every project, they all had a starting point.
I actually started knitting when I was about 6 years old. my mother was a knitter, and I watched her do it, and she showed me how, and so that's kind of where I started.
I taught myself, basically, when I was trying to quit smoking. And it was a way for me to keep my hands busy.
Did it work?
And it did. I haven't smoked since. And that's 20 years now.
It's an art form that can be healthy and healing.
When my mom passed away, I inherited all of her stuff. With the use of YouTube, I watched a bunch of videos on how to knit.
Jay has since become advanced, creating patterns and selling his work to people around the country.
Does it feel like a connection to your mom?
It does. I mean, I still have some of her needles.
And for many, fiber arts are associated with mothers and grandmothers.
But when I was, 7, 8, 10 years old and going to a yarn shop, and the normally thing would be, do you have a note from your mom to pick up what she needs?
Bill is advanced too. He's currently creating a freehand sweater without any seams.
And then all of a sudden they started taking me a little bit more serious.
Yeah, this guy's legit.
Yeah, he's not just here for pick up women or whatever it was that they thought I was there to do.
But he says patterns are changing. The men are all part of a Twin Cities men's knitting club with more than 60 members.
It's really nice to find other guys who actually are, excited about yarn and textile creation and the different things you can do with it and color work.
And they're good at it.
Well, and yeah.
While the pandemic prompted many to give it a shot,
this morning I made a little cozy.
So did a gold-winning Olympian who knitted between dives.
So here it is.
Definitely saw an upsurge in the interest of men and getting into knitting because of Tom Daly breaking that stigma to think that it's really something that only a woman would like to do. It's actually very therapeutic.
And as it turns out, it's not just about the lines they knit.
I like the center one.
It's about the circles they create.
But it's like you're knitting people together too.
Yes. Well, you're creating the fiber, but you're also creating the relationships and friendships of the group.
I think that is something great that came
why
from the
not?
pandemic, right?
It doesn't just have to be for women. I love
Not
that.
at all.
Yeah.
In fact, Men's Knitting Club Twin Cities even has an active group on Facebook.
Of course they do, yes. They meet up regularly at coffee shops, breweries, and of course, yarn shops.
There you go. They're making lifelong friendships.
See, I've never really tried knitting, so I when I was younger, I tried crocheting. So for me, that was a little bit easier, but it was just like a long string of crocheted yarn. I didn't really get fancy with it, but that was kind of like my attempt, and I just never went from there, but you never know. I just think I'm not focused enough.
I don't even know the difference between crocheting and knitting, so we're going to leave it right there. All right, here's what we're working on for you next at 6. Redistricting in Horry County. Which Grand Strand community could combine to become one huge district and what that could mean when it comes to time to vote.